Hello and welcome to Priya Career Institute's English class. Last time I presented you Pankaj, a student of Priya Career Institute, and I asked him the same questions that I had given to you in the last video and asked you to do the speaking practice of those questions. The same questions I asked Pankaj, and he answered those questions smartly and so nicely in that video that it alluded me again to present him in this video and ask him the questions based on present continuous tense. I want you to see how he answers today's questions and notice what pattern he uses to answer me today's questions. If you could answer these questions in using the same pattern that Pankaj uses, make sure and believe me that you are making your English better, stronger, and most appreciable. So now I approach Pankaj to ask him questions for which I am making this video. So this is the first question to Pankaj. Pankaj, what are you doing these days?
I am studying in BA these days. I am studying in IT these days. I am learning English these days. I am learning about how to become entrepreneur these days. I am learning. I am learning about computer these days. I am studying about computer these days.
Okay, so very perfectly answered. First question you answered very perfectly, and the second question is, what are you reading in your school these days?
I am reading history these days. I am reading English these days. I am reading political science these days. I am learning about computer these days. I am learning how to speak English these days.
Okay, very fantastic answer again you have given me. So the third question is, what are the teachers doing these days?
Teachers are teaching children these days. Teachers are checking copies these days. Teachers are collecting children these days. Teachers are preparing notes these days. Children are preparing study material these days.
Okay. And what are your friends doing these days?
Some of my friends preparing of SSC. Some of my friends preparing of army. Some of my friends are preparing of different types government jobs. Some of my friends are studying in college. Some of my friends are running their business these days.
Okay, right. And can you tell me what are the common people of the country doing these days?
Common people are working their work these days. Common people are doing farming these days. Common people are sitting in their houses these days. Common people are earning money these days. Common people are teaching their children these days.
Okay, very fantastic answer. And could you tell me what are the farmers of the country are doing these days?
Farmers are cultivating their fields these days. Farmers are cutting their crops these days. Farmers are preparing their fields these days. Farmers are preparing or growing animals fodder these days. Farmers are save their crop these days.
Okay, good.
Saving their crops these days.
Right, fantastic answer. And the next question is, what is your brother doing these days?
My brother is doing job these days. My brother is earning money these days. My brother is going gym these days. My brother is learning about computer these days. My brother is living with me these days. My brother is living in Ghaziabad these days. My brother is taking different types class these days.
Okay, good. And it's very good to hear about your brother, what he is doing these days. And do you know what are the businessmen of the country doing these days?
Businessmen running their business these days. Businessmen are earning money these days. Businessmen are making lots of plans these days. Businessmen are launching their products these days in market.
Okay, fantastic. Very fantastic and brilliant answers you're giving today. What is the government doing these days?
Government is making roads these days. Government is making lots of flyovers these days. Government is launching lots of new products in market these days. Government is giving loans these days. Government is giving chance to new generation these days. Government is opening new schools and colleges these days.
Okay, so again, you have very brilliantly answered this question. Next question is, what are the leaders of opposite party doing these days?
Leaders of opposite party is are fighting with opposite party. Leaders of opposite party making plans these days. Making plan these days. Leader of opposition parties blame Modi these days.
Blaming Modi.
Blaming Modi these days.
Right. And what is, do you know what is running in politics these days?
Lots of issues are running in politics these days. Like Ram Mandir issue is running these days. Like a Sushant Singh Rajput issue is running these days. Like Mir Bhoj issue running in politics. Like corruption issue running in politics these days.
Right, fantastic. And what are the children of your locality doing these days?
In my locality, children are playing cricket in field these days. Children are taking online class at their houses these days. Children are preparing of sport these days. Children are studying lots of things these days. Children are learning about computer and English and other languages these days.
Okay. And do you know what is Indian Army doing these days?
Indian Army is a very brave person and very brave brand. Indian Army is fight with enemies. Indian Army is living at border. Living at border. Indian Army saving us. Indian Army is saving our prime ministers and our houses, our parents, and we.
Okay. And do you know, or would you tell me, or could you tell me, what are you doing tomorrow?
I am going to my place tomorrow. I am going to my ITI college tomorrow. I am going to my fields tomorrow. I am buying some house goods tomorrow. I am buying some new clothes tomorrow. I am buying some study material tomorrow.
And now tell me, this is the last question. Try to answer me more perfectly than every answer you have given me today. What are you doing on coming Monday?
Coming Monday, I am going to my ITI college because my exam is coming, and I am going to Ghaziabad coming Monday. I am going to I am going to my place on coming Monday. I am going to my fields on coming Monday. That's all.
Okay. So that was the class of conversation with Pankaj today, and he answered all questions very brilliantly and very perfectly, and also very enthusiastically and smartly. As he has answered me today all the questions, I wish him all the best and want him to keep giving keep giving or keep answering all the questions asked in the future. Thank you and goodbye and bye bye for today.
Thank you. Bye bye.